Welcome to the Generosity Experience, the podcast from Neon One, where we explore how our community show generosity, not just through money, but through relationships, time, and advocacy. I'm Tim Sarantonio.
And I'm Sam Nyland. Together, we help nonprofit professionals connect more deeply with their communities, move supporters to meaningful action, and simplify how generosity gets done.
Each conversation brings forward the voices and insights that are shaping the future of generosity, from strategy to systems, and everything in between.
So pull up a chair. There's always room for one more in this conversation.
Hi, everyone. We are back with Product with Purpose, where product meets purpose and generosity powers the roadmap. Product with Purpose is our monthly segment where we dive into the latest product updates at Neon One and the why behind them. And today I have Anna Van Cleef. She is our Senior Director of Product Management. So we're going to be talking with her today about some upcoming improvements for July and in the future. Hi, Anna.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing well today.
Good.
Awesome. So out of the updates this month in July, what's one feature you're most excited about? And a second part to that question is, how do you see it helping nonprofits inspire more generosity in their communities?
Gotcha. Well, one of the exciting features for July is our advanced pricing options for global discounts for events. Really, that allows nonprofits to be able to, using our next generation event software, have defined discount codes and discount options instead of having to do it one by one on their events. So it makes it easier for setup, and it helps to share discount codes with specific groups or specific maybe target segments that you might have, and make that easy across all of your events. So really being able to target different discounts potentially for different areas of your community, making it easier to engage them and drive that generosity.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It sounds like it's going to save folks a lot of time and ensure consistency across their events.
Indeed.
And so I know that we also have some exciting peer-to-peer enhancements coming in the future. And here at Neon One, we just wrapped up Dream Big earlier this month. So really excited to talk about some peer-to-peer functionality. Are you able to share a little bit more about the future of peer-to-peer at Neon One?
I'd be happy to. So when we think about peer-to-peer, we've had a couple of different options throughout our product platforms in the past. And we're still going to have this really strong capability with Neon Fundraise, allowing customers to engage their community with live streaming, endurance events, having their community actually reach out to their network through the platform. So this is still going to be a really great solution for those customers who want to take their peer-to-peer to that next step, use it for endurance-based events and more. But what we're also introducing is sometimes that might just be a little bit too much for customers, and they just want to be able to have peer-to-peer campaigns really easily part of their CRM, being able to have beautiful pages that allow their supporters, the network of your fundraisers, to engage, great looking and easy to use donation forms, being able to be part of a team and manage those teams and get some key insights about whether it's the team or the fundraising itself. And so all of those things we're going to be bringing in Q3 to Neon CRM. And so customers will have a new option. So we've had kind of a historical module for peer-to-peer. This is not replacing it. It is a new module that will exist, and that will allow just a much more intuitive, much more user-friendly experience for both our admins of Neon CRM as well as fundraisers and their supporters.
Awesome. Really excited about all of those features. And I think it's really a great thing to note that this enhancement is, as you mentioned, just going to be a little nugget of something peer-to-peer related for fundraisers, teams, as well as the back-end admin side of things as well.
Absolutely. This will be for those people who are maybe I want to get started in peer-to-peer, but also those who are growing in their peer-to-peer capabilities. But of course, if they're like, hey, this is my niche and I'm going all in, then Neon Fundraise would still be the best option.
Wonderful. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you.
So to wrap things up a little bit, I talked with, of course, Laura Block last month, and I wanted to get her take on how product enhancements are created and how we plan our product roadmap. So with you here being the Senior Director of Product Management in that entire team, can you tell me a little bit more about the product roadmap strategy and the role that current Neon clients play in that?
Absolutely. So when it comes to the roadmap, we don't just take one piece of data. We are taking from multiple data sources. We take from NPS. So sometimes you're asked, would you recommend us to another organization? And you share your feedback there. We take from our suggestions portal, where many of you, our customers, have been able to engage with us, letting us know how we could share or improve some of our capabilities to meet your needs better. But we also take feedback from support insights. Maybe there's some questions that keep coming up. And we also take from direct customer visits where the product management team is directly engaging. We do it with surveys. We get feedback from our internal team who talk with our customers all the time. And we go out to the market to understand why we win and potentially why we might lose a deal and much more. And so we take from a bunch of different places, both internally and in the marketplace, take all of that insight and really try to understand the problems that nonprofits have and the opportunities that are currently in kind of the sphere for the nonprofit sector. And that way we can hopefully be there when you're ready to use it before it becomes too impactful. Much like we were driving that DAF Pay process as DAF Day really got started. So that's kind of an example of how we wanted to be at the forefront of that process inside of our integrations.
Great. Yeah. And I really love asking that question because I feel like it gives just listeners and our clients a lot of insight into that process, trying to be as transparent as possible and kind of staying ahead of that curve and understanding nonprofit trends and predicting that. So thank you so much, Anna. That's a wrap on Product with a Purpose, our monthly segment where we dive into the latest product updates at Neon One. So thank you, Anna, and we will see you in August.
Thanks for having me. See you, everybody.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Voices of Generosity, where we dive into the stories of Neon One clients and explore how generosity shapes their work in their communities. I am here today with Daniel Meyers. He is the Executive Director at Elgin Youth Symphony Orchestra. Welcome, Daniel.
Hi, Sam. It's nice to be here.
Yeah. So for folks who didn't catch your Dream Big session with your former colleague, Kyla, can you please introduce yourself and give us a quick snapshot of the Elgin Youth Symphony Orchestra, also known as EYSO. So talk to us a little bit about who you are, what you do, what your mission is all about. And then I also know that you have somewhat of a history with Neon, so would love to explore that as well.
Yeah, for sure. Cover all of that, but if I forget anything, you can prompt me, Sam. So my name is Daniel Meyers. As mentioned, I'm the executive director at the Elgin Youth Symphony Orchestras, and I started there last October. So about 9 months in, and still not brand new, but still feeling relatively new. But the Elgin Youth Symphony Orchestras is not new. And we are entering our 50th season this fall, and it's a youth music organization. You know, on its face, it provides ensemble performance opportunities for student musicians in the greater Chicago area. Elgin is about an hour on the interstate outside of Chicago, and we draw students from all across the metro area, including Chicago itself. So on its face, we're a youth music organization. Our mission goes a little bit deeper than that, though. We really focus on, through the ensemble opportunities that we offer, developing community amongst the young musicians we work with, and helping to kind of enrich all parts of their lives, including their family life, their school life, the other parts of the community that they're involved with. We have 5 orchestras, including 3 full symphonic orchestras with strings, winds, and brass, 2 smaller string-only orchestras for our younger students, and then a whole variety of other opportunities as well. We have a brass choir, percussion ensembles, flute choir, and a chamber music institute that has typically around 30 small ensembles, trios, quartets, quintets, etc., from year to year. And we also have a newer program, it's about 4 years old now, called Starter Strings, where we bring beginning string instrument instruction to right now 2, this fall expanding to 3 low-income minority schools in our area. So offering them beginning string instruction free of charge. A little bit more of my background, I am a musician, and that's actually how I came to my role here, but how I came to Neon. So I first started using Neon, I think it was 2017, with a chamber music organization that I volunteered on the board for, based in St. Paul, Minnesota. I was actually living in Chicago at the time, and so Neon was based here, at least at the time, so it was a nice connection. And I helped to implement their first CRM, just seeing it as something that would really help level up their marketing, communications, and fundraising. It was the perfect tool for a small, not young organization, but small organization without a staff to be able to implement. And then I implemented it again as a volunteer with a community orchestra that I currently serve on the board of, called the Minnesota Philharmonic Orchestra, based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Connections. But this is the first that I've implemented Neon with an organization where I'm working. So I have a long history with it. It's been a product that I've found to really be the right fit in a lot of scenarios. Last fall, after joining EYSO, we were in the midst of a CRM evaluation here and looking for a new tool to support us. We did a wide search, but Neon really checked the most boxes for us, and we started using it in January of 2025.
Wow. Yeah, that's really great context, and thank you for sharing just your history. I'm sure you've seen the evolving of Neon over the years, which is exciting for you to have.
Yeah, I gotta say that's one of the things that has really stood out to me about Neon, and one of the reasons why I recommended it to Kyla, who was leading our CRM search at the time that I started, is I've seen so many new features and improvements over the years that I've used Neon, and it's just so evident to me that it is a living product, and that the team is really taking to heart the product suggestions that you receive and all of the conversations that you have with clients, and actively working to make the system work the best that it can. Wide variety of organizations that you work with. And I've not seen that with every CRM that I've used. There's a lot of them where the attitude is kind of just, well, that's not how it's built. So figure out how to work within the constraints. And that's necessary with any software. We do that with Neon too, but when we make recommendations, like I know that they're actually considered or listened to. And when there's a critical mass, it does lead to great product improvements. So that was a huge reason why I wanted to look into Neon and why we chose it.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And this may be jumping ahead in our conversation, but just out of curiosity, I mean, through being such an active user throughout the years, could you tell us maybe about some of your favorite features? And I'm sure, you've been running likely some fundraising campaigns through maybe many of those organizations or your times using Neon, but if you could shed some light on just some of the capabilities that you have found to be really useful, that would be helpful.
Yeah. I think the communication tools are really great, especially as CRMs go, especially as CRM in this price, and the way that Neon contracts are structured based on budget size rather than number of records is a whole other benefit and value. But the communications functionality has been a huge asset for EYSO, allowing us to let go of our MailChimp subscription. But then thinking on the donor relations side, the integration with being able to send all of our acknowledgement letters through Neon and do it in a really tailored, targeted way. It's kind of a surprise because that's such a basic part of fundraising. With a number of the other CRMs I've worked with, it's been just so much fighting trying to get acknowledgement letters sent out and pulling multiple different reports into external systems so that we can merge with Word or merge with the email client. So that's been a huge asset. The level of detail of gift records is always something that's just been, again, it feels like one of those basic things, but there are other CRMs that just don't have the amount of detail that I need to really do what I need to, either from an analysis and planning standpoint or just from a financial record keeping and keeping everything clear, having clear information for the accounting and finance team. Some new features that I'm really excited about, I think they're new in the last couple of years, are the workflow functionality. And just, again, with a small team right now, development one, myself, being able to make use of automation to facilitate tailored one-to-one relationship building, at scale is kind of how I talk about it. The last organization I worked with, I built an entirely separate prospect management tool in Airtable because the CRM we were using, eTapestry from Blackbaud, which I love for a lot of other reasons, but it didn't have really good donor management tools for us. So I built an entirely different system in Airtable and came up with kind of convoluted ways of linking them together through Zapier and other automations just to be able to have the tools that I needed to do my work. And so the workflows, the automations, and the grants and prospect management in Neon are things that I'm really looking forward to using more now at EYSO as well.
Such a good point. Yeah, that's incredible that you had to build your kind of a patchwork system there to make it happen.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard from so many other fundraising colleagues that I kind of just accepted that every CRM, there will be things that we don't have and that we fight with, and then we learn to work around. I think the real thing is how much do we have to work around? That was one of the decision or the evaluation points that I had in mind was, okay, how much additional work do we have to do in order to really work the way that we work and have the system support us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good point. Yeah, and with EYSO, I know that you guys are more of a newer client. It sounds like you kind of finished your are still in the stages of implementation, but did the data migration and things like that on January. So you're not even yet a full year being, a client of Neon One with EYSO. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that kind of implementation onboarding process was like? And you mentioned a few goals you have for system usage, but can you expand a little bit on maybe some of your fundraising strategy for the future or what you're most excited about for this coming year?
Definitely. So I'll start with the implementation piece, but just that process of being assigned a specific implementation consultant that we were working with from start to finish was hugely helpful, and I'd been through that twice before with 2 other implementations, so I knew what to expect. I knew it would be a good experience. We were working with Network for Good through Bonterra at EYSO, and our contract with them was coming up at the very beginning of January. We signed our contract with Neon in November, and so started implementation in December, and end of year kind of wild time to implement a new CRM with fundraising. But we started using it exclusively at the beginning of January. And I want to say Rob, but I'm going to feel terrible if I get his name wrong. But our implementation consultant, it was Rob.
I think
okay.
was Robert Clayton.
Yes. Yep.
Yep. Okay. Great.
So he was just a great resource, not just in, okay, here's what I need from you, and then here's what I'm going to do, but really helping us to think through all of the different systems where we had information. What is the best way to bring them together? What information do we need to keep? What could we let go of to simplify things and streamline things? Creating the necessary kind of more custom adjustments to the data before it came into Neon so that it was in the right form to work for us going forward. So it was a really great process at a busy time of year. Went quite smoothly, and I wouldn't say necessarily hit the ground running at the beginning of January, but we were like at a brisk walk, and we were able to start working on our end of setting kind of the systems and processes for the way that we wanted to use Neon, because I think, as I mentioned, with myself being new, we were starting to think a little differently about our fundraising. So that's a great segue to kind of what we're looking ahead to in terms of how we do our fundraising. At EYSO, we have a really important and strong pool of individual one-to-one relationship-based donors, but it's a small pool. So those relationships we have are really strong, but we don't have a lot of them. And so one of the things that has stood out to me as a really big opportunity for us is to grow that pool, cultivate more donors who want to have that sort of relationship with us and have capacity for higher levels of giving as well. And so that's where I'm really looking to the automation tools and the communication tools, both to do that cultivation and nurturing, but also to help identify who those donors are that we should be reaching out to. So things that I've started to set up, and others that I'm still hoping to do in the next month and a half before we dive into our season, are setting up an automated communication series to all new donors, thanking them again for their gift in addition to their automated receipt, following up with some just fuller information about the organization, knowing that some of those donors don't know much, others know a lot, and then from there, the third communication of how they can stay engaged, not just through giving, but through getting involved with our programs, attending concerts, volunteering, and just becoming a monthly donor or increasing their support in other ways. So really building that nurturing process in from the very start and doing it in a way that with a development team of 1 will be 2, we can really manage with new donors coming in. They're also using the workflows to help identify who those folks are that we should be reaching out to. I can set a threshold for anyone who's made a single gift of $100 or more and engaged in another way, and they can then a prospect record can be created for me with a task for me to make a phone call, send and start those interactions, start those conversations, which is always the first part of my qualification and the cultivation process. So in terms of our strategy, I'm really looking at this really broad pool of all our donors we have, how we can continue to engage them and nurture them, take them from someone who's just making a donation because their neighbor who plays in one of the orchestras asked them as a part of our peer-to-peer campaign, to really understanding everything that we do as an organization, the value that we bring to the community, and then the other ways that they can continue to be involved, even if they just started as a neighbor, and then nurturing that through automated communications, growing that to one-to-one relationships, and eventually growing our pool of higher level supporters as well.
Sounds like you have quite the outreach and engagement plan.
I hope so. I wrote a whole document last week that's 2 pages long, and I think we can implement it all, but my eyes might be bigger than my stomach. That's a weird analogy here. But.
Yeah, you spoke a little bit about the first time donors or people that are clearly giving their first time gift, and I'm sure you're aware of we do have an advanced donor welcome series that's created already in the system that you can simply clone and make your own. So hopefully that will come in helpful.
Oh, it will. It's more just turning my attention from the many other things that I'm learning executive directors have to think about on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me into a question that I just had Since your implementation and kind of launching, you mentioned taking a look at, reports and dashboards and things like that. Since implementing Neon at EYSO, have you noticed any patterns in giving or engagement, or even just communication with certain types of supporters that you're able just to be able to glean from using Neon?
Yeah. I'm partially debating with myself the minutia to get into. On the communication side, haven't had the opportunity to do a deep dive in really analyzing what's effective communications-wise. But I did in the last few weeks do a pretty deep dive and thorough analysis of our giving over the last year as I was making plans for the year ahead and strategies for the year ahead. And simply put, like, the level of reporting it can get from Neon makes that possible. I'm someone who does a lot of slicing and dicing in Excel. I've not seen a single CRM that can do all of the reporting and analysis that I want to do right within it. But the great thing about Neon is it's been super easy to get all of the fields that I need. There's maybe been one or two occasions where it's like, oh, I really wish there was this calculated field that's not there. Sometimes it's just called something different than what I'm searching for, though. Or I can get the information in other ways. But for the most part, I can get every piece of data I want to have and really easily export it to dig in much more deeper using pivot tables and charts in Excel and filtering a bunch of different ways. And so using all of that data, and with the really detailed gift records as well, that provides all different parameters that I can kind of break things up by, I was able to see that our number of donors in the last year was significantly up, a lot more new donors in the past year versus the prior year. But our average gift size was down somewhat significantly. Also, just looking at our different giving bands, we have, I don't have it in front of me now, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I think like 250 or 300 owners, a third of our donor file, I'll say, within the like 250 to 500. I think under 500, it's over half our donor file. And it falls off a lot as we get to what for us has been the threshold for one-to-one giving, which is $1,000. The thing that says to me is there's a lot of potential here to grow it. And so that's what has motivated a lot of these strategies around focusing on those smaller dollar donors, but really nurturing them. Because we've done a lot of other research outside of that revenue and giving analysis, and know that a lot of our parents and families who are involved with EYSO, some of them are donors already, do work for large companies. And there's other indicators that they might themselves be able to give more or have connections to additional support. And it's a question of kind of nurturing them, showing them what the need is, and then showing them their opportunity to be involved in it. And all of that, we get the information that we need in Neon to be able to say who that is that we should target to.
Yeah, that's fantastic analysis. And I think that kind of leads me into my last question here, which I think advice that we could give many users if they're not taking a look into some of the insights over the past year or past quarter or a couple months or what have you, is to do an analysis of your prior year's giving history and kind of use that to influence your fundraising strategy moving forward. But what advice could you offer up to give other organizations like EYSO, or perhaps organizations who are just in the beginning of their fundraising journey?
That is a great question. I feel like there are a lot of different pieces I could give. I think the first is just to take a moment and step back. I think especially at small organizations. So we didn't mention it. Maybe this is an intro. EYSO, our revenue is about $1 million, just under that for both contributed and earned revenue. We also we've got a substantial in-kind support that we record through use of facilities at the community college where we're based. But about $1 million in contributed and earned revenue each year. So not a big organization, not a tiny organization. We have a full-time staff of 7 typically. We're down 1 now, but only 2 of us working in development. Myself and will be a development projects manager. And I know, for me at least, with a small team like that, it feels like we don't have time to like really think big picture. There's just too much that we have to be doing. But to really take that time and step back and say like, okay, what experience do we want our donors to have? Even someone who's giving $15 for the first time. And how does that lead us to where we want to be fundraising wise with having a larger pool of $500 donors, $1,000 donors? And even just mapping that out kind of at a basic level, and then looking at all of the tools available and thinking, what can make that achievable with our team of 2? And that's why I'm so happy about the automation tools, because it makes so much more possible in terms of that cultivation than what we could do without them and just with a team of 2. I think that's the biggest thing I would say. And then the other thing that has kind of been a surprise to me through my work and working with other CRMs is there are a lot of CRMs with really nice tools and really nice features built in that they like to talk about. And surprisingly, they often have fallen short for me when it comes to the actual data records and the amount of detail we can actually pull out and use. And so they might have these nice features, but then I continually run up against, not being able to easily get the data I need just into an Excel file for me to dig in more, really answer the questions I have, or just work with other systems that we have. And so I think being mindful of some of those basic things too, and not being scared either of Excel files. You can learn a lot on Google. I've taught myself all through Google, and it's been hugely helpful.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's very insightful and wonderful advice. So I know we slotted a good amount of time, and it's always amazing how quickly time passes by. So I just wanted to thank you for sharing your insight, and I think this is a great note to end on. So thank you again, Daniel, for your time and all the amazing work that you do at EYSO and the greater Chicagoland community.
Thank you, Sam. And I'm happy. I don't know if you guys ever want to share my information as a reference for anyone with questions about Neon. I'm always happy to be a collaborator or reference, a colleague for other leaders, especially at smaller organizations, just trying to figure out how to do it all with limited resources.
You definitely have the expertise. You're coming up on, you said you have been a user since 2016, so 11 coming up on.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I've been a power user for all that time, but I remember, I'll say there's a lot of things that look different in Neon now than they did in 2016.
Oh yeah.
And if you didn't see Neon in 2016, it was a very functional system, not the prettiest.
No.
Just visually, it's much nicer, which makes navigating it a bit easier as well. And great functionality in 2016, even greater now, and got some lows.
Yes, fantastic. Oh, thank you, Daniel. Yeah, at first I thought you were going to say, and you didn't need to see it in 2016, which, yeah, our user experience has come a long way. The same with just the overall UX of the system. So, well, thank you again, Daniel, and have a great rest of your day. And we'll be in touch soon. Let us know how you can help, how we can help you moving forward. And coming up next, we have our hotline segment. So hotline questions will be addressed. So stay tuned.
So Sam, that was a really good interview that you just had with Daniel. What we're doing in this segment is kind of helping hand things off to me because I got a really fun guest coming up in August. But we have a hotline submission that I wanted to bring up to you.
Oh, yay. Yay. What is it?
As a reminder, folks, this is our nonprofit hotline segment, and this is like you giving us calls in, so to speak, right? A little bit old school. It's not a live call-in show, but we got submissions. So you can find this in the show notes, we know it works because we got one from Andrew at Just Neighbors, Sam. And they were asking, how do nonprofits steward donors well?
Yeah, that's such a broad question.
It's a broad question.
Let's break it down a little bit.
Well, and maybe we can kind of spend some subsequent times even like revisiting that question from Andrew. But folks, please submit your own hotline questions too. You could be specific, you could be broad, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What helps, I think, is a good first impression. And we actually did something at Dream Big, our Neon One Generosity Awards. Can you tell our listeners a bit about that that initiative that we did?
We judged on 4 categories. So those categories are clarity. So taking a look at the donation form, and you want to keep it very clear and simple. A distraction-free layout. The second one was design and overall design structure. So most folks give on their phones. So we want to make sure that the design is mobile friendly, mobile first, accessible. Another thing that we took a look at within design was on-brand colors. So keeping the tone as well of your content short and sweet. The third one, storytelling. So do you have any impact statements that you're guiding donors to give to your organization? Do you have, or are you sharing a short video? So we had a lot of submissions that shared a short kind of 1 to 2 minute video that was able to really invoke some emotional resonance. And then the last one was trust building. So when you're going to this organization's donation form, do you feel safe? Do you feel safe submitting that payment? Are there indicators of perhaps testimonials on the pages? Are there, is it stating, hey, we are a 501c3 organization. This donation is tax deductible. Very small things that you can do on your donation form to make donors feel confident that they're giving securely online.
Well, it was a lot of fun. I just wanted to give a shout out to St. Paul Urban Tennis as our small nonprofit donation page winner, Lifeline Global Ministries as our medium-sized nonprofit, and then our large nonprofit was Council on Criminal Justice. So congratulations to the winners. We're going to hear more from them at Generosity Exchange coming up on October 15th and 16th. So Sam, I'm going to kind of leave us with we're going to be talking with Mallory Erickson. I'm going to be speaking with her for next episode in August. So she's speaking at GX.
I'm excited, folks.
Oh yeah. So
great.
Any final words for our listeners today? It's your show, so you get the final say.
I think I'm just going to piggyback on the donation forms. What I would suggest people do, just take like 10, 15 minutes to kind of audit your current donation form. Let's think about those things. Think about the clarity, the design, the storytelling elements, the trust building, and go through your own form. And if you have any further questions on that, please submit them to the hotline. We love talking about donation forms and forms in general and how to engage donors in our communities. So until next time, folks, we look forward to seeing you in August.
Thanks for listening to the Generosity Experience. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast listening platform. We'll see you in 2 weeks.